The ancient Stoics spent their lives mastering not only their inner world, but also the external, including the complex psychology of women. While their wisdom primarily focused on self-control and emotional resilience, their insights into human nature inadvertently gave them a leg up in understanding attraction and relationships. What if I told you that within the depths of female psychology lies a secret phrase or approach that could change the way women see you? By the end of this video, you'll know how to flip the script, misinterpret her actions with charm, and ultimately drive her wild with desire. But there's a catch: this only works if you have the confidence to wield it correctly. Stick around to learn the secret Stoics themselves would have approved of in modern times. And remember, if you find this content useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with your story or experiences. Let's dive into the mind of women and unveil this secret strategy together. Chapter 1. Flip the script, accuse her of flirting with you. The art of flipping the script is one of the most powerful psychological tools in your arsenal when it comes to interacting with women. Most men operate under the assumption that they have to be the ones to do the chasing, constantly strategizing on how to win her over, how to impress her, and how to be the one who ultimately gets her attention. But what if you turned that expectation on its head? What if you shifted the power dynamic so that she's the one thinking about how to impress you? This is where the genius of accusing her of flirting with you comes into play. It's a subtle, yet profound psychological move that completely changes the dynamic of the conversation, and here's why. Women, especially attractive ones, are often accustomed to being in control when it comes to flirtation. They know that men will naturally gravitate toward them, try to win their favor, and play into their hands. But when you playfully accuse her of flirting with you, you immediately flip the script and cause her to rethink everything that just happened. She goes from being the one who's steering the interaction to suddenly being put on the defensive, but in a playful, light-hearted way. You've thrown her off her game, and now she's curious, maybe even slightly confused. This intrigue is what will slowly turn into attraction. Imagine you're in the middle of what seems like a normal conversation. Maybe she's complimenting your shirt or talking about your sense of humor. Instead of thanking her or reciprocating with a compliment of your own, you smirk, look her directly in the eye, and say, "Wait a second, are you flirting with me right now?" That one line is all it takes to completely disarm her. It's unexpected. She might laugh, get a little flustered, or even try to deny it. But at that moment, you've planted the seed. Now she's thinking about whether she is flirting with you. And even if she wasn't, she's now wondering why you assumed she was. This shift in her focus, from being the object of your attention to suddenly being on the spot, is incredibly powerful. This tactic works because it's rooted in the psychology of power dynamics. When you accuse her of flirting, even in a playful manner, you subtly imply that you're the one with the upper hand. You're suggesting that she's the one who's interested, and you're the one deciding whether or not to reciprocate. It changes the entire energy of the interaction, making her work to prove herself to you, even if it's just in a fun, teasing way. Women are naturally drawn to men who present a challenge, who aren't so easily won over, and who maintain a sense of mystery and confidence. By flipping the script, you embody all of these qualities at once. But here's the key: this tactic only works when done with a light, playful tone. You're not genuinely accusing her of anything, you're teasing her in a way that's fun and flirtatious. The delivery has to be smooth, almost like you're letting her in on an inside joke. If it comes off as too serious or accusatory, you risk making her feel uncomfortable or defensive, which is the opposite of what you want. The goal here is to create a playful, back-and-forth dynamic that leaves her wanting more. She should feel intrigued by your confidence, not put off by it. Now, let's talk about the science behind why this works. Women, like men, have a need for validation. When you accuse her of flirting, you're not only flipping the script, but also subtly validating her without making it obvious. You're telling her that you've noticed her, but you're also making it clear that you're not immediately falling into the role of a typical guy who's dying for her attention. This balance between acknowledgement and playfulness creates an intoxicating mix of tension and intrigue that many women find irresistible. Think about how often women receive compliments or attention from men. It's constant, right? So when you turn the tables and make her think that she's the one who's showing interest, you break the monotony of her usual interactions. She's used to guys bending over backward to win her over, but now she's in a position where she has to think about whether she's giving off signals and, more importantly, why you noticed. You've just separated yourself from every other guy she's talked to, and that's the goal. You want to stand out, to be memorable, and to make her think about you long after the conversation ends. This technique also builds sexual tension in a subtle, yet effective way. When you accuse her of flirting, you're introducing the idea that there's already an underlying attraction between the two of you, even if it hasn't been explicitly stated. It plants the seed of sexual tension without being overtly forward, which allows the attraction to build naturally over the course of your interaction. She's now thinking about the possibility that you might be interested in her, but more importantly, she's thinking about whether she's interested in you. The brilliance of this approach lies in its simplicity. You're not trying to impress her with fancy lines or over-the-top gestures. You're simply flipping the script, putting her in a position where she's questioning her own behavior and making her think about the possibility of attraction without being overt about it. It's a subtle game of psychological chess, and if played correctly, it can lead to her feeling a deeper sense of intrigue and curiosity about you. In conclusion, accusing her of flirting with you is a fun, effective way to shift the power dynamics in your favor. It forces her to rethink the interaction, challenges her perception of control, and introduces a playful element that can lead to genuine attraction. Just remember to keep it light, playful, and teasing. The goal is to create an engaging, flirtatious dynamic that leaves her wanting more. Chapter 2: Purposeful Misinterpretation. The technique of purposeful misinterpretation is a clever and daring move that plays on the subtle art of teasing and flirtation. It's about taking something she says or does and twisting it in a playful, unexpected way to imply that she's being more suggestive than she actually intended. When done correctly, this tactic creates a mix of humor, tension, and intrigue that keeps her on her toes and deepens the connection between the two of you. Here's the beauty of purposeful misinterpretation. It allows you to inject a level of playfulness into the conversation without ever being overtly sexual or aggressive. It's a subtle dance where you're pushing the boundaries just enough to get a reaction, but never so far that it makes her uncomfortable. You're teasing her, making her laugh, and most importantly, keeping the interaction interesting. Boring is the enemy of attraction, and this technique ensures that your conversations are anything but. Let's break it down. Imagine you're talking to a woman and she casually mentions that she loves going to the gym to stay in shape. Instead of responding with a generic, "That's cool," you lean in slightly, smirk, and say, "Oh, I see what's going on here. You're just trying to impress me with how fit you are." That little twist takes her innocent statement and turns it into something that could be seen as her subtly trying to gain your attention. She'll likely laugh, deny it, or maybe even play along, but regardless of her reaction, you've now added a layer of flotation to the conversation that wasn't there before. The key to making purposeful misinterpretation work is to always keep it light and fun. Your goal isn't to make her feel like you're seriously accusing her of anything, it's to create a playful back and forth that keeps the energy high and the mood light. If you misinterpret something she says in a way that's too serious or aggressive, you risk coming off as creepy or overbearing, which is a surefire way to kill any potential attraction. The tone should always be teasing, as if you're both in on the joke together. This technique also works because it taps into a woman's natural desire for intrigue and challenge. Most women are used to men taking their words at face value, or even worse, trying too hard to impress them with compliments and flattery. By purposefully misinterpreting what she says, you're showing her that you're not like the others. You're not just going to nod and agree with everything she says, you're going to challenge her, make her think, and keep her guessing. This creates an exciting dynamic where she's never quite sure what you're going to say next, and that unpredictability is incredibly attractive. Purposeful misinterpretation also adds an element of sexual tension to the conversation without being overt. By playfully implying that she's being more suggestive than she intended, you're introducing the idea of attraction without explicitly stating it. This allows the tension to build naturally, creating an undercurrent of chemistry that makes the conversation feel charged with energy. She's now thinking about whether or not she's actually flirting with you, and that thought alone can heighten her interest. One of the best things about this technique is its versatility. You can use it in almost any conversation, whether you're discussing something serious or light-hearted. For example, if she mentions that she's a fan of romantic movies, you could say something like, so you're trying to tell me you're a hopeless romantic, huh? You're probably the type that believes in love at first sight. It's a playful twist that takes her statement and turns it into something more personal, more flirtatious, without ever crossing the line. Another scenario could be if she's talking about her love for travel. You might respond with, "Let me guess, you're one of those girls who takes a million photos at every location just so you can show them off on Instagram." Again, it's a light, teasing comment that misinterprets her intentions in a fun way, making her laugh and keeping the conversation lively. The key is to never be mean-spirited or too direct, always keep it playful and humorous. Ultimately, purposeful misinterpretation works because it creates a sense of challenge. You're not just agreeing with everything she says or showering her with compliments. Instead, you're playfully pushing back, making her think, and keeping her engaged. This is the kind of interaction that makes her want to spend more time with you because it's fun, it's different, and it leaves her wanting more. In conclusion, purposeful misinterpretation is a highly effective tool for building attraction. It allows you to keep the conversation light, fun, and flirtatious, all while subtly introducing sexual tension. By twisting her words in a playful way, you create an exciting dynamic that makes her laugh, keeps her guessing, and ultimately deepens her interest in you. Just remember, the key to success with this technique is keeping the tone light and fun. It's all about teasing her, not making her uncomfortable. Chapter 3: Bold Compliments. When it comes to compliments, most men fall into the trap of being overly generic or too timid. They'll say things like, "You're beautiful," or "Do you have a nice smile?" And while those compliments are nice, they don't pack much of a punch. What you need to understand is that women have heard these same lines a million times before. If you want to stand out, you have to take a different approach. Enter bold compliments. Compliments that are direct, daring, and speak to what you genuinely find attractive in women. Bold compliments work because they show confidence. They convey that you know what you want and that you're not afraid to go after it. Women are naturally drawn to men who display this kind of assertiveness because it signals strength and certainty, two highly attractive traits. But here's the thing, bold doesn't mean crude or disrespectful. The key is to compliment her in a way that's both daring and tasteful, leaving her flattered and intrigued rather than uncomfortable. For example, instead of saying something generic like, "You look nice today," you might say something like, "You have a really sexy energy about you." This compliment is bold because it goes beyond the surface level and speaks to something deeper, her vibe, her presence, the way she carries herself. It's a compliment that she probably hasn't heard 100 times before, and it shows that you're paying attention to more than just her appearance. That kind of attentiveness is incredibly appealing. Another bold compliment might be something like, "I love how confident you are." It's really attractive. Confidence is a trait that many women take pride in, and by acknowledging it, you're showing her that you see her as more than just a pretty face. You're recognizing her personality, her strength, and her ability to command attention. This type of compliment not only flatters her, but it also deepens the connection between you because it shows that you appreciate her on a more substantial level. Now, let's talk about the psychology behind bold compliments. Women are used to receiving surface-level praise, especially when it comes to their looks. While compliments about physical appearance can be flattering, they don't leave much of an impression because they're so common. Bold compliments, on the other hand, go beyond the physical and tap into something deeper: her personality, her energy, her charisma. These are the kinds of traits that women are less accustomed to being complimented on, which is exactly why they're so powerful. When you give a bold compliment, you're also demonstrating confidence. You're not afraid to speak your mind or to acknowledge what you find attractive. This kind of assertiveness is incredibly appealing to women because it shows that you're comfortable in your own skin and that you know what you want. It also puts her in a position where she has to think about how she feels in response to your compliment. Instead of passively accepting a generic compliment, she's now actively engaged in the interaction, wondering what it is about her that caught your attention. This creates a sense of intrigue and curiosity, which can ultimately lead to attraction. But remember, bold compliments require finesse. There's a fine line between being bold and being too forward or inappropriate. Your compliment should always be delivered with confidence and respect. If you go too far, too fast, you risk coming off as disrespectful, which will kill any attraction. The key is to strike the right balance, be daring, but also considerate of her boundaries. Chapter 4. Convey your attraction. Attraction is a game of subtlety. While bold moves have their place, there's an entirely different level of tension that can be created when you convey your attraction without outright stating it. This technique works on a psychological level, building anticipation and leaving her wondering just how much interest you really have. It's about dropping hints, alluding to your thoughts, and letting her imagination fill in the gaps. One of the most potent ways to convey attraction is by suggesting that you're having certain thoughts that you don't fully disclose. The key here is that you're never explicit, you're creating a sense of mystery and intrigue by implying something deeper, something more sensual, without coming right out and saying it. This approach plays on one of the most fundamental aspects of attraction: anticipation. Imagine you're in a conversation that has already escalated to a flirtatious level. She's laughing, maybe she's touched your arm a couple of times, and the energy between you is undeniably electric. Instead of making a move or saying something overt, you take a pause, look her directly in the eyes, smirk, and say, "You have no idea what's going through my head right now." And then you say nothing else. That silence? It's golden. It leaves her wondering. What is going through your head? Is it something dirty? Something playful? The possibilities are endless, and that's where the power of this technique lies. You've planted the seed of curiosity, and now she's the one trying to figure you out. This creates a dynamic where she's leaning in, both physically and mentally, trying to decode what you're thinking. And because you never explicitly tell her, the tension continues to build. This tactic works because it taps into one of the most powerful aspects of human psychology, the imagination. Our minds are wired to fill in gaps, to make sense of things that are left incomplete. When you allude to the fact that you're thinking something, but don't say exactly what, you're giving her mind the freedom to roam, to imagine what you might be holding back. In many cases, her imagination will take her to places far more interesting than anything you could have said outright. And the best part? She's the one filling in those blanks. It's a classic case of less is more. This is also an incredibly effective way to gauge her interest. If she responds to your subtle hint with a laugh, a smirk, or even an attempt to get you to reveal more, you know she's intrigued. She's playing along, curious about what's on your mind, and most importantly, she's engaged in the interaction. On the other hand, if she seems uncomfortable or uninterested, it's a sign that the conversation hasn't reached the right level of escalation yet, and it might be time to dial it back. This technique also works because it gives her the opportunity to play a role in the flirtation. You're giving her an opening to flirt back, to ask you what you're thinking, or to tease you about your vague statement. It creates a dynamic of give and take, where she's not just passively receiving your attention, but actively participating in the creation of tension. This kind of playful interaction is essential for building a strong connection and keeping the energy fun and exciting. The key to successfully conveying your attraction without saying it outright is in the delivery. It has to be smooth, confident, and, above all, subtle. If you come off too strong or too direct, it can kill the mood and make things awkward. But if you deliver the line with a smirk and then let the silence hang in the air, you create a moment that is charged with potential. It's like the calm before the storm, the quiet moment before everything intensifies. In conclusion, conveying your attraction without directly stating it is a masterful way to build tension and intrigue. By alluding to your thoughts rather than revealing them, you keep her guessing and engaged, allowing the attraction to build naturally over time. Chapter 5: Sexual Questions. When it comes to flirtation, asking the right questions at the right time can create a deeper, more intense connection. One of the most powerful tools in your arsenal is the use of sexual questions, but there's a strategy to doing this in a way that escalates attraction without crossing any boundaries too early. Sexual questions should start light, playful, and innocent, and only escalate as the conversation heats up and the chemistry between you builds. The trick here is knowing when and how to introduce these questions, ensuring that you maintain the balance between intrigue and respect. To start, you want to ease into sexual questions with what I call baby steps. The idea is to ask questions that hint at something more, without being overt or forward right off the bat. For instance, you might begin with a casual question about something innocuous like PDA, public displays of affection. You could ask, "So, are you the type who likes holding hands or kissing in public, or do you prefer keeping things private?" It's a simple question, but it opens the door to a more flirtatious discussion. Depending on her answer, you can gauge her comfort level and decide whether or not to take things further. As the conversation continues and you feel the energy intensifying, you can begin to push the boundaries a little more. Maybe the topic of travel comes up and you casually ask, "Have you ever gone skinny dipping?" This question still maintains a playful tone, but suggests a more adventurous, spontaneous side. If she responds positively or with curiosity, you know the conversation is moving in the right direction. The beauty of these early sexual questions is that they allow you to test the waters without diving in headfirst. You're feeling out the situation, seeing how she responds, and adjusting your approach accordingly. The key is to always maintain a light, fun tone, and to never make her feel pressured or uncomfortable. If at any point she seems to shy away from the topic, you know it's time to dial it back and return to something less intense. But if she's leaning into the conversation, laughing, and maybe even asking her own questions, you're on the right track. Once you've established a comfortable level of flirtation, you can begin to escalate the sexual tension with bolder questions. These questions should still be suggestive rather than direct, allowing her to engage with them in a way that feels natural and safe. For example, you might ask something like, "What's the most spontaneous thing you've ever done?" Depending on how she answers, you can follow up with a more pointed question like, "Have you ever thought about doing something crazy, like sneaking away for a weekend adventure with someone you just met?" This kind of progression, from light and playful to more daring, creates a natural escalation of sexual tension. You're building a conversation that feels organic and exciting, rather than forcing the issue too soon. And by asking questions that allow her to reveal a bit more of her adventurous or flirtatious side, you're creating a dynamic where she feels free to explore her attraction to you without fear of judgment. But there's an art to knowing when to stop. Even though you're asking sexual questions, the conversation should never feel forced or overly explicit. The goal is to create tension and excitement, not to make her feel uncomfortable. The questions you ask should always leave room for her to answer in a way that feels comfortable for her, whether she wants to flirt back or keep things light and casual. The beauty of this technique is that it builds intimacy through curiosity. By asking sexual questions that escalate gradually, you're allowing her to engage with her own feelings of attraction at her own pace. This creates a powerful sense of connection because it shows that you're attuned to her comfort level and are willing to take things slow if necessary. It also gives her the opportunity to reveal more of herself in a way that feels safe and fun. In summary, sexual questions are a powerful way to escalate attraction when used with care and precision. Start small with playful, light-hearted questions, then gradually increase the intensity as the conversation heats up. The key is to always maintain a sense of fun and intrigue, ensuring that she feels comfortable and in control at all times. When done right, this technique creates a charged dynamic where the attraction builds naturally, deepening your connection in a way that feels exciting and meaningful. Chapter 6: Lead with Semisexual Compliments. Semisexual compliments are a fantastic way to introduce flirtation and attraction into a conversation without being too forward or explicit. These compliments sit perfectly in that gray area between playful and sensual, allowing you to express your interest in a way that's suggestive but still respectful. It's a method that keeps the mood light while also creating sexual tension, and it's one that every man should have in his toolkit. A semisexual compliment could be something as simple as, "You know, you look really cute when you wear that," or "I love how sexy you look when you're concentrating." These statements are subtle, yet they carry a level of attraction that she'll definitely pick up on. The key to delivering these compliments is the tone. They should come off as casual, almost as if the thought just popped into your head, making it feel authentic and spontaneous. Why are semisexual compliments so effective? Because they acknowledge her attractiveness without going overboard. Women are often on guard against overtly sexual comments, which can feel too aggressive or creepy, especially early on in an interaction. But a semisexual compliment slides under that radar. It's enough to make her feel noticed and appreciated without putting too much pressure on the situation. This type of compliment also gives her the chance to play along and flirt back, which is crucial for keeping the interaction balanced and fun. Here's an example scenario. Imagine you're sitting across from her, and she's doing something completely ordinary like sipping her coffee or adjusting her hair. You pause, smile, and say, "I don't know what it is, but there's something really cute about the way you do that." It's a compliment that comes out of nowhere, catching her off guard in the best possible way. She might laugh, blush, or even ask what you mean by it. Regardless of her response, you've now injected a hint of flirtation into the moment, making the atmosphere a little more charged. The power of these compliments lies in their subtlety. You're not being explicit, but you're also not keeping things completely neutral. It's a balancing act that allows the conversation to take a more intimate turn without crossing any boundaries. And because you're focusing on something specific that she's doing or wearing, it feels personal, like you're paying attention to her in a way that most guys don't. One of the best things about semisexual compliments is that they leave room for escalation. If she responds positively, you can build on that energy with more direct compliments as the conversation continues. For example, if she laughs and says something like, "Oh, really? You think so?" you might follow up with, "Yeah, there's definitely something about you that I find really attractive." This allows the conversation to progress naturally, moving from light flirtation to something more meaningful without ever feeling forced. On the flip side, if she doesn't respond enthusiastically, you can easily pull back and keep things playful without any awkwardness. Semisexual compliments are low risk in that sense, They're easy to deliver, but they don't commit you to a full-on flirtation unless she's ready to reciprocate. This makes them a perfect tool for navigating the early stages of attraction when you're still feeling out her level of interest. Ultimately, the goal with semisexual compliments is to create a sense of attraction that feels organic and mutual. You're not pushing her into anything or making her uncomfortable. You're simply acknowledging that there's something about her that catches your eye. And by keeping the tone light and playful, you make it easy for her to respond in kind. In conclusion, leading with semisexual compliments is a smart, effective way to build attraction. These compliments are subtle enough to avoid coming across as too strong, but they're also suggestive enough to create a spark of chemistry. By focusing on specific things she does or wears, you make the interaction feel personal and meaningful, giving her the opportunity to flirt back and escalate the tension naturally. Chapter 7. Playful Misinterpretation. Playful misinterpretation is one of the most fun and effective ways to build attraction through banter. The idea behind this technique is simple. Take something she says and twist it in a playful way that suggests she's trying to win you over. It flips the usual dynamic, putting her in a position where she's the one chasing your approval, which is a powerful way to create sexual tension and intrigue. Here's how it works. Let's say she makes a comment about her hobbies or something she enjoys. Instead of responding with a typical, straightforward answer, you tease her by misinterpreting her statement. For example, she might say, "I love trying new restaurants," and you could respond with, "Ah, so this whole conversation was just your way of trying to get me to take you out, huh?" It's a light, teasing comment that takes her off guard in a fun way, making her laugh and work to clarify her intentions. Playful misinterpretation works because it shifts the power dynamic in a way that feels natural and humorous. Most women are used to men trying to impress them, so when you flip the script and imply that she's the one seeking your attention, it catches her off guard and creates a playful sense of competition. She'll feel the need to prove herself, to show that she's not just trying to win you over, which keeps her engaged and invested in the conversation. The key to making this technique effective is in the delivery. Your tone should be light and playful, never serious or accusatory. You're not actually suggesting that she's trying to chase you, you're simply creating a fun scenario where she has to defend herself in a flirtatious way. It's all about keeping the energy fun and light, allowing her to respond with her own teasing comments. Another great example, let's say she tells you about her love for traveling. You could respond with something like, "Oh, I see, you're just trying to impress me with all your world adventures." It's a playful way of flipping the conversation, suggesting that she's going out of her way to catch your interest. By misinterpreting her statement in this way, you create a dynamic where she feels the need to clarify herself, often in a flirty or humorous way. This kind of banter also creates a sense of mystery and challenge. Instead of you being the one chasing her approval, she now has to work for your validation. This shifts the typical power dynamic and makes her feel like she has to earn your attention, which can be incredibly attractive. Women are drawn to men who aren't easily impressed, and playful misinterpretation is a subtle way to communicate that you're not just another guy trying to win her over. At the same time, playful misinterpretation is low risk. It's a technique that adds fun and excitement to the conversation without crossing any lines or making things awkward. If she responds positively, you can continue the banter and build on the playful dynamic. If she doesn't seem to get the joke, it's easy to shift the conversation back to a more straightforward topic without missing a beat. In addition to keeping the conversation light and fun, playful misinterpretation also gives her the opportunity to flirt back. By implying that she's trying to win you over, you're giving her an opening to defend herself in a flirtatious way, allowing her to take on a more active role in the interaction. This back-and-forth exchange is essential for creating a dynamic of mutual attraction and keeping the energy exciting. In conclusion, playful misinterpretation is a powerful tool for creating attraction. By twisting her words in a playful way, you shift the power dynamic and make her work for your approval, creating a sense of challenge and excitement. This technique keeps the conversation fun and engaging, allowing both of you to flirt and banter in a way that builds chemistry naturally. When done right, playful misinterpretation is a game changer in the art of attraction. By now, you've been equipped with some of the most powerful psychological tools for creating attraction and flipping the script in your favor. The techniques in this episode, from accusing her of flirting with you, to playful misinterpretation, to semisexual compliments and alluding to dirty thoughts, are all about shifting the power dynamic and keeping her intrigued. The magic lies in how you say things, when you say them, and most importantly, your ability to keep the interaction playful, confident, and full of tension. Women are wired to respond to emotional triggers, and these methods are all designed to subtly ignite her curiosity, making her feel as if she's the one who has to work for your approval. The truth is, most men come across as too eager, too needy. But when you master these psychological moves, you communicate that you're different. You're the kind of man who knows how to keep things fun, light, and engaging, all while building the kind of attraction that most guys only dream about. Remember, though, these techniques only work if you stay confident, relaxed, and respectful. Attraction is all about balance, keeping things intense but playful, bold but not overbearing. When done right, you'll create a dynamic where she feels deeply drawn to you, wondering what you'll do or say next. So, now it's up to you. Try these methods in your next conversation and watch the results unfold. And if you've had success with any of these techniques or have a story to share, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear how it worked for you. Before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going, and as always, replay this video if you want to fully absorb the psychological techniques I've shared today. Until next time, remember, the power of attraction lies in the mind, and now that you know the secret, you're ahead of the game. Keep mastering the art of female psychology, and you'll see just how far it can take you.